Forget gurus. Forget anyone claiming to be an online business expert without going through the challenges of entrepreneurship themselves. The Real Money, Real Business podcast is here to prove the best insights in online business comes from your fellow online business builders. We dig into stories of entrepreneurs selling their business on the Empire Flippers marketplace so that you can learn how they made their business profitable, how they overcame obstacles, and what lessons they learned in their online journey. If you want to take your business and your knowledge to the next level, you've come to the right podcast. Let's get started.
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the Real Money, Real Business podcast. We record these interviews so potential buyers have more information about the seller and the business to help them make a buying decision further down the road. Just before we dive into today's interview, let me give a very brief summary of the business we're discussing today. It is a display advertising, Amazon Associates, and affiliate business created in February 2018 in the outdoors niche. The average monthly revenue for the business is $8,113, and it makes an average of $8,030 per month in net profit. The assets included in the sale are the domain and all of the site's contents and files, also an additional domain with all of those contents and files, 301 redirects, and a variety of social media accounts. For everyone listening, you can visit empireflippers.com/marketplace and search for listing 57075 to learn more about the business, or you can unlock the listing to start your due diligence if you're interested in purchasing this asset. So that's a very brief overview of the business. Let's hear from you. Jonathan, welcome to the show. How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. Thank you so much for having me on.
Yeah, it's our pleasure. Let's kickstart this off then. Can you just share with me what your background is in building or running online businesses?
Yeah, of course, no problems at all. So my initial interest in building online businesses is all creating websites, starting kind of 2014, 2015. I was working a full-time job within IT and just was interested in doing something on the side, as I'm sure a lot of people kind of get started doing that. I looked at some websites, how to make money online and all that kind of normal stuff. And I bought a domain and did, a WordPress blog. First attempt was terrible. I won't go too much into it, but it didn't particularly work out. But then you learn perhaps what did work from there, and you improve upon it and you kind of move forward. So since then, I've done a few different types of websites in different niches. I've done a Shopify store. I've dabbled in Fulfilled by Amazon as well, but that wasn't really kind of my thing. And now I have a kind of a suite of maybe half a dozen websites, and this is one of them, and that's kind of what I do. I have some people that work for me that do bits and pieces, but primarily it's all me.
Well, that's awesome. Yeah, it sounds like you really managed to build up a strong skill set in, like say, online businesses, and you've managed to leverage that to create what sounds like a respectable portfolio of online businesses. So good on you. Yeah, power to you for sure.
Yeah, well, when something's interesting, it's easy to do. When something's boring, then that's when it's a problem, right?
I couldn't agree anymore. I think that's also why we recommend people who are just getting started in the industry as well and learning about online businesses not to chase sort of trying to find the golden goose in terms of the niche. And it's more about,
Absolutely.
It's probably better to find something that have at least some interest in it, because like you say,
exactly it.
You'll be working on it for God knows how long. And if you lose motivation and interest like halfway through, it's like, well, how much longer are you going to, like you say, beat a dead horse, you just start dreading working on it. So makes sense.
That's it, exactly. I can't imagine working for 4 years on something that holds no interest. It just sounds like a nightmare.
For sure. Well, I guess that's the natural segue to sort of ask you, why did you choose the outdoors niche in particular then?
Yeah, I mean, as we kind of already alluded to, it's something that I have an interest in, and I'm sure a lot of people do. Given where I currently live, which is Australia, outdoors is kind of a big component of it. We have great weather, there's lots of sea and sun, and, petrol prices are relatively cheap as well, so it's good to get out and about. So from that kind of initial kind of interest, I did a kind of bit more kind of looking into, okay, can I do a website around this? And if I do a website, what are the topics that I cover? And there's a couple of kind of more niches within the outdoors website, which I've kind of focused on for this one. But the general idea was just kind of a high level interest in it that I thought, let's make a website. Let's see how it goes. it's interesting to read about, learning more about. Let's see how far we can take it.
For sure. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you mentioned as well, as you were learning more about the industry, you dabbled in a few different monetizations. Why did you choose display advertising specifically for this one?
Yeah, it's now my kind of preferred method of monetization. It's super easy. You can work with companies like AdThrive or Zoicon. There's a whole bunch of different ones, and they will do most of the heavy lifting for you. So your job as an internet marketer is to drive the traffic. It doesn't even necessarily have to be towards heavily monetized content in terms of, you're not doing buying guides, for example. It can be informational articles. And even that stuff can be monetized quite easily. Now, saying that, I have done, best of X or Y kind of articles as well. I just don't have a great love for it. It's not my thing. Not to put it down, I just sometimes find it kind of a bit disingenuous. You're not always giving a honest opinion because you don't necessarily got access to those products. But yeah, I just like this. I mean, it's fun. You can write about anything you want to, and you're not tied to writing kind of product reviews or anything like that.
Gotcha. Yeah. So it sounds like that versatility and sort of content creation sort of lends itself well to, display
It does,
advertising.
absolutely. And the competition tends to be a lot less as well. So, an informational article, you're probably up against half a dozen people writing similar stuff. Wow. A best 10 of something, you're going to have, 100 sites doing the same stuff.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. So that makes sense. And, you've scaled the business to a really decent size. But, our listeners will be wondering right now, why are you selling the business instead of staying with it and growing it?
Yeah, so kind of personal reasons. My family and I, so my wife and my 2 kids, we want to take a year off from working. We're going to travel around Australia for a year. We're going to take the kids out of school, and we're looking to kind of partially finance that trip with the sale of this website. So there's quite a lot of expenses that go along with this kind of travel plan of ours, and we want to kind of make an experience that the kids are going to remember for the rest of their lives and that we're going to remember. It's not something we get to do often, so let's go all in and make it, a once in a lifetime experience.
That makes sense. And, by the time you sell the business, hopefully pandemic restrictions worldwide will hopefully have calmed down a bit more.
Yeah, we hope so. We don't want to get locked into a certain state or city or anything like that. So we'll see how it goes. But yeah, fingers crossed, absolutely.
100%. Well, best of luck with that. I just want to ask you about sort of dig into the operation side of stuff now. When you were building this business, was anything that you found that just really worked for you?
Yes. So changing the focus away from, as I kind of already talked about, the kind of best X of Y type of articles to more general informational focus, and doing keyword research, which I think is key to the success of this website itself, is good keyword research, not necessarily relying on tools, keyword difficulty tools like Ahrefs or, other ones are out there, but looking at this SERP results directly, seeing what's there. Are they answering the question? Can we do something better that answers that particular question, more in depth, or just more kind of snippet optimized, for example? And that's going to really work well for me. And that's what I do now across all my sites, is do that kind of in-depth research and just really look to kind of understand how we can best answer those questions, rather than just firing off a keyword to a writer to, come up with something, give them a proper brief in terms of this is how we want to answer it, and this is the topics we want to cover as well.
Yeah, no, that sounds like a really solid strategy. Were there any software or tools that help you run the business?
What do I use? So, Google keyword suggestions, or people also ask session is great for a kind of starting point. You can put in your seed keyword and iterate through the alphabet to get ideas of what's going out there. Probably also looking at one of more generic competitors in the niche. So looking at the likes of Quora and a tool such as Ahrefs found to be quite good. So putting Quora in there and seeing what they're ranking for related to the keywords I'm interested in. So we can see what pages they're ranking for, something like Quora.com, put in our keyword and see what people are asking. And that gives us a good idea of what we can write about as well.
Yeah, great suggestions. I think our listeners who are new to content sites will find that useful. We've just discussed what sort of works for you. Was there anything that you tried with the business that didn't quite have the ROI that you're looking for?
Yes, originally I think I spent quite a bit of time trying to engage with Facebook marketing and Reddit and also Pinterest, which the amount of time I spent doing that sort of stuff probably didn't have a fantastic ROI. That might be more to do with my capabilities in that space rather than not being a good idea. I'm probably not cut out for creating clever posts to put on Facebook or beautiful pins to put on Pinterest. So I have since kind of automated some of that. So anything that's posted on the website would get pinned automatically to Pinterest. And that's resulted in the same growth as me kind of trying to actively do it. So that's worked. What else hasn't worked? Just as Orica discussed, the types of topics we're covering as well. So, best of X of Y, not great for me personally, but more general informational stuff has worked better.
Right, and I think that makes sense. I think, everyone's got their different skill sets and different interests, and I think social media, it's a different beast, So some people are good at it, and some people, it's not their forte. So in a way, that I think that's a potential growth opportunity for the new buyer.
Certainly. Yep. I've seen competitors in the niche that have fantastic Pinterest followings, and they probably drive a lot of traffic through that, or Facebook following as well, or even YouTube. They can have videos as well, but it's not something I've probably got to work for me. But people with a skill set probably could do that.
For sure. And I think we'll touch more on the other opportunities later on. But I wanted to ask you, if we just sort of look under the hood of the business, can you describe what's the type of work that you do to maintain the business on a daily or even a weekly basis?
Yeah, at the moment, not a whole lot. It's been coasting along for probably the last year without much in the way of intervention. So my big drive to publish content and do that kind of initial work was probably over a year ago now. But now it's what I do. I kind of check the stats, check rankings within my kind of keyword trackers. I will check backlinks occasionally, make sure there's kind of no great increase in spammy links pointed at the site, anything like that. Update plugins. It's all very kind of simple and is easily accomplished in, an hour or two.
Gotcha. What skills would you say the new owner should have in order to be successful running this business, to sort of hit the ground running from day one?
Yeah, I guess there's potential couple of ways to approach this. One is if you're looking to grow the business, which I imagine most people would, then having a good solid understanding of keyword research. I'm sure there's many people out there are far better than I am, but having that good understanding of how keyword research works and what type of content works well within SERPs would be fantastic. You can literally, 10x the traffic potentially, if they're really good at it. But then if you're just looking to kind of coast along and keep things ticking over, then that's probably less important. You probably want to publish articles occasionally to keep things fresh. When I have a list of keywords that I never got to publishing articles around, which I'll probably share with the seller, and they can take that on and use that going forward if that's what they're interested in doing.
Gotcha. Yeah, that makes sense. I just want to pivot over to the traffic side of things. So the majority of traffic is organic. How is that generated?
Yeah, so it's all, as you said, organic traffic. So ranking in Google and Bing, of all things. So the niche is slightly related or more pivoted towards an older generation for some reason. And I think that reflects in Bing traffic probably taking up slightly more than you'd expect to see in any website. Not massively. The majority of the traffic is still Google, but Bing takes up a slightly higher percentage than you might expect. But yeah, it's just writing the content based on what people are searching for, ranking it, pulling in those organic clicks from the search results.
Gotcha. Yeah. Do you have like a link building strategy in place right now?
No, I don't. Now, I did employ the services of a link building team quite a few months ago now. It was Matt Diggity's ABC Plus, I think. So they built links for me, and I did used to do help a reporter out. I would religiously log into the questions every morning and try and answer stuff related to the niche. And that did net maybe half a dozen to 10 links, some of them quite decent from websites. But it can be quite a slog doing that,
Mm.
You write a lot of stuff and you often just don't hear anything back. But yes,
Yeah.
recently, no real link building. I haven't done anything in quite a while.
Gotcha. I was just going to say about Harrow, it can feel like you're just sort of shouting into the void and hoping something sort of shouts back. But a lot of times, like you say.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then there's times where I've, found that someone has linked to me after I answered the question, but there's been no feedback from that person. It's just I found it in the tools itself.
Gotcha. Okay. But so it sounds like, other than that, though, marketing the business is quite hands off right now.
Yeah, absolutely. There's not much to do. I mean, that necessarily mean you can't do something. It's just that I've chosen not to.
Makes sense. So if you were to keep the business, then what are some of the ways that you would try to grow it?
I would continue publishing articles. As I said, I've got quite a bit of keywords I would be looking to tackle. I would probably look to do something like email marketing. Again, I'm not an expert at email marketing. I have never used it on any of my websites, but I know it's a tool that can drive good results. So I'd probably be looking to do that. And what else would I do? Yeah, I would just continue publishing articles. Keep firing away, publish those articles, and the traffic will come with that. I mean, that's what I've found so far.
Yeah, so it sounds like the main growth opportunity here is to continue scaling up the content production.
Yeah,
okay.
I would think so.
What would you say then are the biggest risks with this business that a buyer should be aware of?
Yeah, I mean, Google updates. I mean, everyone knows someone that's been impacted them if you're involved with this industry. Now, the website has been through its ups and its downs, and its ups and its downs, and its ups again through various Google updates. I don't know if there's a particular science to not being impacted from them. It's a risk. I don't know what you can do about it. You try to do kind of the best that you can, publish the best content, and have the best on-site SEO, but there's always the risk that, something unforeseen will happen.
For sure. I mean, just as an aside, if you did find out, the secret sources for, to avoid getting hit with the Google update hammer, then I think that in and of itself is a potential business opportunity. So,
oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you'd make a fortune, I'm sure.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, just last few questions from me then, as we're rounding off this interview. How much support are you willing to offer buyers?
Yeah, I'm quite open to, email support for, 30 days a month. I'm based in Australia, so time zones you might expect like a little delay before I can get back to you. There's certainly a couple of Skype calls as well. I can go over what I've been doing, what's been working, etc. So yeah,
that's great to hear. Okay. Are you willing to commit to a non-compete?
Yes, that's fine. No problems.
And are you open to something like an earnout?
Yeah, ideally, cash up front would be best given our plans for the money. But, we can certainly negotiate an earn-out depending on the kind of timescale we're talking about and what that looks like. It's something we'd have to have a discussion about.
Sure. Well, that's good to know. I mean, really last question from me, Jonathan. If you put yourself in the shoes of a buyer, why would you say that this is a business worth buying?
So, I mean, as you can see from the stats, it's kind of steadily grown year on year out. It's a great niche. There's a lot of passionate people involved with it. There's a lot, for me personally, a lot of interesting topics to cover. I mean, you can branch out to other sub-niches as well if that takes your interest. There's certainly more than enough kind of keywords or topics that you could cover. There's just a lot of opportunities, I think, within this kind of niche in itself.
That's great to hear. Is there anything you'd like to add that you think I might have missed?
Not at this time. I think we've covered quite a lot there, but if you have any further questions, I'm more than happy to answer them.
Fantastic. Well, Jonathan, that's everything from me for today. Really looking forward to seeing your business get sold to the right buyer in the very near future.
Sure. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
All right, everyone. Thanks for listening. To learn more and see if this listing has already been sold, head over to empireflippers.com/marketplace and search for listing number 57075. If you're watching this on YouTube, click the link in the description to go straight to the listing. And once you've unlocked the listing, you'll be given everything you need to know about this business. So until next time, enjoy your digital journey.